I'm Gracelyn Guyol, and welcome to Restoring Health Holistically. This evening's subject is how to lighten your toxic load. Our guest is Shelley, who is the owner of Health in Harmony in Mystic. Shelley is certified as a reflexologist, a canine reflexologist, a holistic health coach, and a microdermabrasion technician. She's a member of the American Association of Drugless Practitioners, and Health in Harmony is an organic day spa. The healing treatments there include reflexology, far infrared sauna therapy and sauna consulting, power plate workouts for improving bone density, overall strength and weight loss, Reiki sessions, 5 different types of massage, and organic skincare services that include microdermabrasion, facials, masks, waxing, and hair services, all at 27 Broadway Avenue in Mystic. Thank you for joining us. I'm delighted to have you here.
Thank you, Gracelyn, for inviting me.
Each day we all take in toxins from billions of pounds of pesticides sprayed on our foods each year, from automobile exhaust or mercury in the air from coal-fired power plants, and other airborne toxins. We take in fluoride and other contaminants in our drinking water as well. So I asked Shelley to focus on the variety of services that Health in Harmony offers that will help our bodies throw off these toxins as a way of improving or restoring your health. You began as a reflexology practitioner. Explain this therapy and how you were attracted to it.
Well, reflexology is a modality not unlike massage therapy, only we focus primarily on the feet. It can also be done on the hands and the ears. So what led me to pursue that line of work as opposed to being in sales and marketing was...
Which you did previously.
I did, yes, for most of my previous career.
Okay.
My mother had suffered a stroke that left her paralyzed. So while I went out to the West Coast to be with her during that time period, I had time to reflect on what I was going to continue to do with my life. And I thought, after watching her in rehab and so many other people, that I needed to have a new calling.
Okay.
And the reflexology was the modality that most resonated with me. So I began my certification while I was out there for that year, became certified, came back, and started my own business.
And how old is this practice?
They've traced it back to Egyptian times. They actually have drawings in the tombs of the Egyptian doctors of people working on one another's feet. And you can find traces of it in India and China as well, but as early as the 1300s.
That's amazing. I didn't know that. So give us some examples of healing that you've seen result from reflexology.
Well, it's a whole body modality, even though we're working on the feet, which is quite interesting. Through the process of elimination by working on different reflex points and acupressure points on the bottom of the feet, they found that each point corresponded with a different organ or gland in the body.
Now, are these nerves that are ending in the feet?
Part of it's nerve endings, but they actually do, if you press on a certain part of the bottom of the foot, you can actually feel it in that part of your body. Okay. So if you're working on the lung point, you can actually feel it up in your chest.
Oh.
So it's really good for all different types of ailments. I use it a lot for patients that are suffering with neuropathy.
Okay.
Not just the elderly, but they found with a lot of chemo treatments and radiation, it causes neuropathy in the feet.
And diabetes typically causes neuropathy.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of other things they don't know that contribute to neuropathy.
Yes, but it's very effective, and it actually will enable the client to have feeling again in their feet.
That's great.
Yes. So that's one of the things that I see clients for. Other is, of course, pain management.
Sure.
It's very good for that because it actually relaxes the person, but at the same time, it's releasing endorphins in the body.
Okay, so the feel-good substances that you get when you're a runner, you can get by
Yes.
having reflexology.
Yes.
That's
So for
great.
pain management, it's also very highly effective. Depression, again, because it's releasing the good endorphins in the body. It's relaxing the person.
Right.
So if they have the anxiety that comes along with depression,
Which is
then
common.
It is.
The two go together.
After an hour of laying there relaxing, and a lot of times people will meditate. So it can be very beneficial.
Powerful, yes. And what about hormone imbalances? How does this?
Hormone imbalances, when you do the reflexology, what you're doing when you're pressing on the different various points on the feet that correspond with the body, you can actually go in and concentrate on one particular part of the body. So for hormonal imbalances, we would work on the areas of the ovaries and then work up on the head point. So that you get the pineal gland working, you get the pituitary gland working, so you're getting all the glands going, you're getting the hormones back in track. And if you have a blockage that's causing a particular problem, such as a hormonal imbalance, it can actually be moved out through the process. So when you're working energetically.
Okay. So is this part energy medicine as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So it's enabling the person to feel the response in that part of the body.
Okay.
And then also neurologically, it's affecting that. If I'm working up on the big toe, which is the head point, then neurologically it's starting to fire all those synapses now in the body.
Okay.
So, and then with the release of the endorphins and the chemicals. So if
The
you have
neurotransmitters.
right, and if you have a chemical imbalance or a blockage there, it's releasing all of that through the body. So again, it's very much like massage, where after you have the work done, you really need to drink the water and help force all the toxins that were
To
released.
drain.
Yes, to release through the body and the lymphatic system, because a big part of working on the feet is also connecting with the lymphatic system in the body, and that's around the top of the foot, around down to the heel. So this is actually flushing toxins out of your system as we're doing this.
By working on the feet, you're flushing toxins from all the different systems.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. We are going to have in a later show Bonnie Tetro up here. She's a lymphatic therapist.
Yes.
So she'll go in depth about that. But
wonderful.
I'm
Another
glad
really nice modality for people.
And people often don't know about it. So I think we talked about also insomnia and how this benefits people with insomnia.
Yes, again, because of the relaxation and working on the head points to release any blockage that they have there in their neural pathways in the brain. It calms them down, it relaxes them, and I will oftentimes show people that come in for insomnia how to work on their own feet, so that at night they can hit the correct pressure points to help relax them and release some of that before they go to bed, and it does help.
That's wonderful.
So,
well, there's two other ones, and then we'll move on. But plantar fasciitis and gout.
Yes.
Those are. Did I say that right?
Plantar fasciitis.
Fasciitis.
Yes.
Didn't get that quite right.
That's okay.
I've known people that have had both, and it's very painful. So how does this help?
They're both very painful when they occur. Gout is primarily in the toes and primarily in the big toe. So all the joints of the big toe. And you can actually feel the accumulation there of the lactic acid.
Right.
So it's a matter of going in and massaging those joints and actually pulling up just a little bit to release the lactic acid that's sitting in that joint.
Okay.
There's a lot of different things that can cause the gout. So
is it primarily diet caused?
Primarily, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of meats and acidic.
Meats, dairy, anything that will lead to inflammation in the body.
Okay. And those are highly inflammatory, red meats and dairy products.
Exactly.
And to a certain degree, grains. So if people had undiagnosed wheat allergy, that might contribute to it too.
Yes, if you have gluten issues, then chances are you're going to have a little bit of gout.
Okay.
That
And
kind of
inflammation
goes hand
somewhere.
in hand. Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of it is dietary, but the reflexology is very effective once you get in there and you actually break all of that apart within the joint.
Okay.
There's instant relief,
Oh, that's
which is wonderful
great.
for people.
Yes. Yes.
And then the plantar fasciitis, I see a lot of that with runners primarily,
Okay.
or people that have done some type of injury to the foot through sports.
Repetitive injuries.
Exactly, yeah, repetitive motion, and then you get that the plantar runs along the instep of the foot.
All
And
right.
all the way down to the heel and then goes into the Achilles tendon. So it's just another tendon in the foot, but it runs the full length of the bottom of the foot, which is why it becomes so painful.
Okay.
So reflexology is very good for working on that. And then they can also do really easy exercises at home that actually help that, which is just taking a tennis ball and rolling it around under the foot.
While you're watching TV or something?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So many easy exercises like that, stretching exercises. So within a few weeks with plantar fasciitis, if you're having the reflexology done on a regular basis and doing these really simple exercises at home, you can get through plantar fasciitis fairly easily within a few weeks.
Oh, that's great news. One holistic detoxification method that was used by first responders on 9/11, because they took in massive amounts of chemicals and toxins during that tragedy that were in the air and that they were rescuing people from, was far infrared saunas. And I know that you have one of the only, that I know of, far infrared saunas in this area. And so explain how it differs from other saunas and the vitamins and minerals that when you sweat out the bad stuff, you also lose the good minerals.
Right.
So explain how the two work together.
Okay. High Tech Health is the company that I purchased my sauna through, and they're the company that actually sent saunas to 9/11.
Oh, really?
Yes, when this happened, because they knew how highly effective the saunas would be in immediately pulling out the toxins that the first responders were taking in. So I was very impressed with that.
Yes.
And as a company, they're very good. So I have that sauna. The other reason I have the sauna from that particular company is they were the only ones that were selling saunas made out of poplar wood. And when you think about sitting in a wooden box and detoxing, you have to think, what is outgassing in your environment?
Right.
Well, if you use redwood or cedar, those outgas. So you're
Right.
taking in toxins and then replacing them with other toxins from the box you're sitting in,
Right,
which didn't
because
make
of
any
the
sense
sap
to me.
of those woods.
Everything is in the wood,
Right.
and once the heat hits it and pulls it into your environment, then now you're breathing it in.
Vapors, right.
So that was the other reason with going with them. So when you have a sauna, no matter if it's a Finnish style sauna or a far infrared sauna, whatever type of sauna, you have to pay attention to what it's made out of.
That's good
If it
to
has
know.
glues, these are just snapped together. There's no glue in them. So you really have to research your sauna before you buy it. So I just want to make that very clear.
You've done that for
Yes,
them. So
yes.
is that where the sauna consulting comes in?
That's part of it. But the far infrared sauna, the main way that it differs from a regular sauna
Right.
is, number one, it's dry heat.
Yes.
There's no moisture,
No
there's no
steam.
water, there's no steam. So it's dry heat, it's low temperature.
And
Now-
explain why that's important.
Well, this is very important, and people don't realize that factor in this either. A regular sauna, you will start at 160 to 220 degrees. That's a lot of heat. That's very intense heat.
Yes.
Water boils at 212 degrees.
All right.
So you're sitting in
Boiling
a box that's boiling a lot of your insides, basically. And it's very hard on the small tissue in the body, in particular the tissue of the eyes, the retinal tissue, and can damage your eyes.
Oh, really?
From the high intense heat. The far infrared, being dry, is also low in temperature. We start at 100 degrees, and the maximum we ever go up to is 140 degrees.
So it's below where the other saunas start.
Begin, exactly.
Right. Okay.
And it's not necessary to go up. And what I do when I'm working with my clients is we will start with a temperature of 100 degrees for 15 minutes. And then we'll stair step. And we'll go up in temperature, then in time, then in temperature, then in time, until we get them to where they're sweating. As soon as they break out into a full-blown sweat, that's the temperature we hold them at, because that's what's right for them.
Right. And it's different for each person.
Everyone is different.
Right.
And everyone's toxic load is different. So we don't know what we're carrying around with us and how it's going to manifest when it's coming out through your sweat. And
so if they have a really heavy toxic load, it's, I would guess, and you tell me, are they going to have more reaction to the detoxification? Is it going to be harder? Or
absolutely, absolutely. And the way that it is in the body with the far infrared, the other big difference is with the far infrared heat, it will actually penetrate the dermis of the skin, which traditional
deeper than anything else.
An inch to an inch and a half.
Okay.
Through the dermis of the skin. So that heat is actually being taken in under the skin and into the blood system.
Okay.
Now regular saunas won't do that because they don't have, in the far infrared sauna there's actually grills with the far infrared heaters in them, and they surround you while you're sitting in the sauna.
And so it's that infrared rays that go deeper.
Correct.
Okay.
And those are the farthest removed rays from the ultraviolet, which are the ones that actually burn you.
Okay.
The far infrared rays are the heating rays that we get from the sun, where we get the vitamin D.
Oh,
so it's
all right.
the healthy part.
Well, I'm glad to hear that too.
Yes. So
everybody's low in vitamin D. Does this raise their vitamin D?
It will. It will, naturally. The body will produce more vitamin D when you're in the environment with that. So because of the fact that it penetrates the dermis, it holds the heat in longer. So you're actually getting the benefit of being in it long after you get out of it. And then once you start sweating, now you're releasing the toxins in the body.
Okay, so that's when you need to drink fluids, water.
You need to drink water. And as soon as you begin to sweat, then what we do is we give you what we call our detox cocktail.
And what's in that cocktail?
Well, we will mix up water with glutathione and magnesium, because magnesium, they've actually taken sweat from people and looked at it in the laboratory to find out what is contained in the sweat. And the first thing that they find is large amounts of magnesium.
Coming out.
Coming out.
Okay.
So when anyone starts the far infrared sauna therapy, we get them immediately onto extra magnesium every day.
That sounds like a good idea.
It is, because you don't want to be depleted in magnesium. It's one of the minerals that as we get older our body makes less of anyway.
And most people are slightly deficient in magnesium without knowing it.
I would say most everyone with our current diet, with not getting that from our food source anymore, everyone is depleted. So we want to make sure that we are not only supplementing every day, but when you're doing the sauna, supplementing 300 to 400 milligrams per day more, because we know scientifically that that's what's going to come out first. Then the glutathione helps in the body ridding itself of toxins.
Right, that's one of your detox substances that you must have, and it's hard to get from food, I think.
It is. It's almost impossible anymore to get as much as we need from food. So we mix together a cocktail, and you drink that before you go in. So as you're sweating and releasing it, it's already going back into your system to replenish.
Okay.
And you're in the sauna. Once you get up to the maximum time and temperature, then you're in there for 45 minutes, usually around 130, 135 degrees. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a lot on your body, and your body is sweating constantly.
Well, and when you're detoxing too, that also it takes a lot of energy from the body.
It does.
And so it's a dual dual reaction, both from the detox and the sweating and what you're thinking about.
Right. Well, and this is the interesting thing that people don't realize is it's not just a physical detoxification, it's a mental and emotional one as well.
And how is that?
As you're sitting in there, all of a sudden you'll have all these emotions. You get to a point when you've done them long enough that all of a sudden you'll start having an emotional detox. And people are always surprised with that. And I said, but that makes sense. You know, it's not just detoxing what you're carrying around physically, but also emotionally.
And people often don't connect the two.
No.
We think of ourselves as physical beings, and yes, we get emotional from time to time, but we don't always think of the two in tandem.
Well, and I don't think that we realize how much emotionally we're carrying around with us and not releasing. So in the sauna, you end up releasing a lot of emotion also, which, you know, to me
That's
is
very
great.
healthy.
Yes, it's very good. And a lot of times people don't realize, wow, I didn't know that was bothering me.
And I didn't know that sauna would do that. So that's really something that that's very intriguing.
Yes,
Thank you.
it is. And it's interesting too, the principles of how all of this works even elude me, and I've been doing this for 12 years with the sauna. But it's fascinating what I see.
And it's consistent.
It's consistent, but everyone is a little bit different because
course.
everyone has different things in their body that are coming back out. For instance, if people have taken a lot of antibiotics or if they've had prednisone, when this comes back out, now you're thinking when the sweat comes up, skin is your largest organ.
Right.
It's going to come out differently than how it went in. So prednisone, when it manifests and comes out of your skin from the sweat, it actually will cause boils
So
on the skin.
you have to get it off the skin really quickly?
You want to constantly, while you're in there sweating, wipe off the sweat constantly.
Wow.
Because now this chemical is coming back up and you're having a chemical reaction. A lot of times it's when cancer patients have had chemo and they break out with a rash and they don't know what the rash is. The rash is actually the chemo
Coming out onto
coming
the
up
surface of their
out.
skin.
Yes, exactly.
Oh.
Exactly. It's the same thing. Your body's trying to rid itself of the chemo and they break out. Well, it's the same way with any type of prescription medication that you've had. When you go to detox it, your body's going to try to purge it however it can.
But this is great to know that you can get these out, because that's part of the toxic load that some people are carrying is 10 different prescriptions that they've taken for days, or 5 different successive chemo treatments.
Right.
So that it's important to, in order to restore health, to get those out of the body.
Yes. Again, that just adds to the toxic burden. And the problem and why this is so healthy and why I really think that it's important for everyone to have a sauna in their home, that's our first line of defense. We need to be in it a few times every week to take off the toxic burden that we are getting bombarded with daily. I mean, just in our food, we have over 300 types of toxins.
That we know of.
That we know of.
The other ones are undocumented.
Yes, and there's 100 every day new ones being manufactured that are going out there environmentally somewhere. So you're constantly being bombarded with this, and the only way that I know of effectively to get rid of them is by sweating them out in the far infrared sauna. So it's my belief that everyone should have a sauna just like everyone has a TV or a telephone.
Or a shower.
Exactly.
Well, how much does a sauna cost?
Depending on the size, you can get one as inexpensively as $2,600. Now that may seem like a lot, but if you consider how much have you spent in tests, doctor's visits, prescription medications, that's relatively cheap, and it's something that you have forever.
Right.
So once you've paid for that and you're using it, 3 times a week, when you look at the cost factor that way, it's not a lot of money.
Right, and I think there's 2 different ways of looking at money, because I made huge efforts to get to detox and to get rid of toxins when I was trying to get rid of breast cysts and tumors that were growing rapidly. And I was able to do that. But, everything costs a little bit of money. And I probably spent, I don't know, $2,600 on supplements.
Exactly.
And yet I didn't see that as a big expense, although yes, it's costly, but I looked at it in comparison to what cancer would cost me. Lost work time, pain and suffering, and also what you have to pay beyond what insurance covers. So when you're sick, a lot of times these holistic therapies and the small investment that they require save you $30,000 in treatments or loss of a breast. So to me, everything, you have to look at everything from a health perspective. And yes, there's things you can afford and not afford, but can you afford to be sick forever and ever?
It's like when people talk about organic food and how much more expensive it is than conventional food. Well, yes, it is right now. It's becoming less so because more and more people are demanding it. But also, if you're eating whole organic food and feeding the body that way, you need less food.
That's true.
So, and if you're doing the sauna and you're not then using the proper supplements and putting the right things back into your body, then you're defeating the whole purpose of using the sauna to begin with. So I try to educate people too that are coming in to use the sauna that really you need to think about revisiting your whole lifestyle and making some changes to make the sauna so much more effective and to make your detox go quicker and smoother.
And on a regular basis, since we're all living in a very toxic environment. What difficult conditions have you seen the far-infrared sauna help?
I think one of the
we talked about
Lyme disease. It's one of the few things that I've actually seen really make a difference with Lyme disease. And if people come in for Lyme disease, it takes some time, like anything, because it depends on where is that buried.
Well, and how long have they had it, and how long has it proliferated within their body?
Right. So how deep has it gone into the system?
Okay.
That's going to take a while depending on how deep and far down that's buried, because you're going to detox other things first.
Okay.
So the body, when it has toxic layers, it really is layer upon layer. So it can take some time for that to come out, and you can start feeling like you've had the Lyme over again. But with everything with the far infrared sauna, what will happen is you will have, if you had strep throat, you'll have the sensation of strep throat. If you've had the Lyme bite will manifest back up on your skin again where you had it initially.
That's
holographically, everything comes back up and out as it was in the beginning. And that's one of the amazing things, again, with the sauna, where I don't understand it, but I see it again and again and again. And I'm always like, wow, this is really fascinating.
It is.
But it works, and that proves that theory, because here you know where the bite was. Now the bite's back, and you're thinking, I got bit again in the same place? No. That's your body releasing that memory of that and getting rid of it. And then your symptoms start to release and dissipate after that when you see the bite mark.
Okay.
So it's fascinating how the body can heal itself and will heal itself if we use the right tools.
And the sequence that it does it.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes. And the other thing that for me is wonderful is when I work with young couples that are trying to get pregnant. And they obviously have something that's blocking the ability to release the egg or the sperm. And it's funny in that women always come in and say, well, I'm trying to get pregnant, so I need to detox. And I go, yes, it would be helpful, and it will probably be very effective, but it isn't just you.
It's the fetus.
Well, and the men need to know they're also making this fetus, this baby, and for some reason they think that
because the fetus is in the woman's body, they don't realize that that they have an impact
Yes,
in the
yes.
in the conception as
Yes.
well, and it goes on.
Yes, absolutely. And if you're going to create a baby, then it should be healthy from both sides.
Right.
From the contribution from both parties.
Right.
So, and that has been highly effective. Usually it takes about 3 months for most women. And then I get a call back and they say, guess what, I'm pregnant.
Great.
So that's a wonderful part. One other thing that we see a lot of is children coming in with asthma. And I do put children in the sauna. It depends on the age and it depends on the ailment. But for children's sauna, it's very effective. I had a young boy come in that was 9 years old, had never been able to play sports because his asthma was so bad. He had to constantly have an inhaler. And through the process of taking in his medical background and asking some questions and watching how he reacted in the sauna, we came to the conclusion it wasn't asthma at all. It was mold spores in his lungs. And once we got rid of the mold spores in the lungs and found the mold in the house, he was fine.
Wonderful.
And he could go back to playing sports. So a lot of times, too, it's a process of elimination. It may be one thing that you're thinking, and then you come to find out it's not that at all.
Well, that's part of what holistic medicine does so well. I call it Sherlock's process, figuring out what the real cause is. And sometimes it requires, like you described, layers. So taking off the outer layer like an onion, the outer layer of the onion, the most obvious things first, and keep peeling back more problems, more causes, more potential issues until you get to the core issue. And then all of a sudden you're well. But it's been not an overnight transformation. It's this process of elimination of the most obvious things.
Right.
Talk a little bit about veterans and far infrared saunas, because it's been successful for what they take in too.
It has. I think that's probably the hardest client to work with is someone that's been in the military. They've been inoculated with God knows what.
Yes.
They don't know what's been put into their body. So, they're filling out their health history and they're going, well, I don't know.
Right. I had 14 inoculations and I don't know what any of them were.
And then if they've gone over and served, then they've also, come in contact with a lot of really bad, nasty chemicals. And again, they can't be sure what those are.
Right.
Some of them had Agent Orange.
Yes.
And
which is in our pesticides now, the pesticides sprayed on our food. But
I think they took all the extra that they had left over and put it into some of the chemicals that they're using. Yes.
I just know that it's the same stuff. So
yes. And that's hard because when that comes out, it's not unlike prednisone coming out of the body. And it will come out in boils on the skin. And unfortunately with that, a lot of times they're scarred from it.
Wow.
It's very, very, very nasty when that comes out. And there's a definite strong odor to it. We have to be careful because then we're actually working with hazardous chemicals. So we have to address things and do things a little bit different in the sauna because of that.
Okay.
So that's very intensified our work in that, just trying to make sure that
so people who've had those exposures really need to work with someone experienced like you, because otherwise it can, if you try to do it yourself, you're in for surprises.
This is why I've gone into sauna consulting, because a lot of people with conditions like this will buy their own sauna, take it home, and then try to use it without knowing exactly what it is that they're looking for, what's going to happen to them. So if somebody wants to buy a sauna, I will offer to get them going. I prefer to work with them first and get them on a protocol.
Right.
So that they know what to do.
So they understand.
They understand. They know what to look for symptomatically and then how to address it. I can tell them what supplements to have on hand for various things. They need to, like we do, we take your blood pressure and your pulse before you get in. When you get out, we record it. We record any type of symptoms that you've had. Okay. So we can follow the progression of what's happening and best deal with it for the client.
Right.
Because there's so many things coming up like that. And with Agent Orange, you also start to feel sick again, like you've been hit with it again. So
It's frightening.
It is frightening, and it's not unlike when you get to heavy metals and they go to the brain, and the brain is the last barrier to be reached when you're detoxifying.
Okay.
So heavy metals are the last thing that the body will release through the brain barrier. It takes a long time, but it is possible to do it. And what happens then is once it's released from the brain back into the bloodstream, it's almost like they've had a seizure.
Is that the symptom or the
That's
feeling?
the symptom.
Okay.
That's the symptom. It's like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And all of a sudden your head feels funny, you feel like you're going to pass out, you could start hyperventilating, all these things happen. So we need to know if there's heavy metals so that we know to look for that.
Okay.
As soon as that happens, they have to stop immediately.
Okay.
Because we don't want to release too much of the heavy metals back into the body at one given time.
Okay.
We want to do it slow so that it doesn't affect the body, and you also have to be careful with those going into the kidneys and some of the other organs and having a problem with that. So
I'm doing heavy metal chelation because I have elevated lead, and so before you even start, you have to get your kidney function and your liver function tested to make sure that once you pull these toxins out of storage in your body can eliminate them.
Right.
So you have to make sure your systems are working right before you can even go there.
exactly.
So
And we like to work hand in hand with the client's physician
Practitioners,
with doing that so that we can monitor the heavy metals.
right.
So, but it's possible. It's possible to rid the body of all these things, which is nice to know.
Which is the wonderful thing, because in my grandparents' day, they had the heavy metals too, because that's where I got my lead levels from growing up on a farm with old lead pipes. And my grandparents, we lived on the farm that was my grandparents, and we had artesian water, which is acidic, and so that leached the lead from the pipes into the water, and I drank that for over a decade.
Right.
So, so they had metals, and but yet they would not have known how to release them at that point. So we're in an enlightened or an enabled age in some ways.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think there's something out there for everyone with any specific ailment. If they just research it, it's possible to find something to help them holistically
Okay.
go in and do treatments for whatever their ailment is.
Well, that's what I hope this show is this series is all about, is giving people lots of options. Let's move on a little bit. Is there anything about sauna that we haven't covered that you think we should? I think that's, if people have to realize that it's, it's going to take time. It took time to get the toxic load into the body. It's going to take time to remove it. Well, and you don't want to remove it too fast, because that would damage the kidneys and the liver.
Exactly.
So you have to do a process here.
So
okay.
That's the only thing I would tell people is, yes, if you want to do it, just, you have to be patient with yourself.
Okay. You do something that's called power plate treatment, and I've never heard of it. So let's start from the beginning. What is it, and who developed it?
Power plate is a whole body vibration system. And it was actually developed by the Russians for the Russian cosmonauts when they were up in space, to enable them to stay up there longer. Because what it will actually do is it will rebuild muscle mass, bone density.
That is lost in no gravity.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's where it started. And from the Russian cosmonauts, then NASA found out about it, and then there was an application where they saw the use of it for professional sports athletes
To
and
build
teams.
muscle and bone mass.
So they used that to bulk up and do what they needed. And then on the other side of that, for the sports teams, it's actually really good as a rehab tool also, in that they could get over their injuries in a third of the time because of this whole body vibration. And how it works is it's a plate that you stand on.
Okay, a big heavy metal plate.
It's a big heavy metal plate. There's different sizes. They're smaller for home models.
Okay.
But for the professional models, like the one that we operate at Health and Harmony, you stand on a plate and the plate moves frontwards and backwards, side to side, and up and down all at the same time.
I hope you're strapped in.
Well, it seems like a lot, but what it's doing, and your body weight actually is what holds you on.
Okay.
But what it's forcing the body to do is engage your muscles.
All the muscles.
All
at
the
once.
muscles.
It's like being on a boat.
Kind of, yeah, where you have to constantly maintain your balance.
Okay.
So it's very subtle, but it's effective. So as you're going and doing, so we put people on there and we have them do all types of exercises. We start with the arms and we go to the legs and we work the core. And while you're on here trying to maintain your balance, you're constantly engaging your core in order to do that. So it's a great workout for that because we need a strong core to protect our back. So if you're doing 30 to 50, you have 30 seconds up to 50 seconds. And then you
Pulses?
have, no, this is that you can set the machine for.
Okay.
Okay. And then you have up to 45 hertz that you can get up to.
All right.
So if you're at the maximum, 50 hertz or 45 hertz in, let's say 60 seconds. Let's take the
right.
full
Minute.
Yes.
All right.
You're working your body out 900 times more than you would be if you were going and doing everything statically at a gym. And it's creating
amazing.
a G-force in your body.
Okay, so this is what helped in space. When we do it here, what does it do? How does it help the body? I mean, I've always wondered how these athletes could be injured in a game and then severely injured in some cases, and then about 4 days later they seem to come back in. So this
Well,
is
with the
part
whole
of
body
it?
vibration, what you're getting is, as you're standing on there, it's increasing the circulation. With the circulation being increased, it's bringing blood flow through the body.
And that helps increases healing
Yes.
because
So
more
it-
oxygen.
Yes, so it takes down the inflammation in the body. It will actually go to the site where the injury has been, infusing it with much more blood, bringing in much more oxygenation, and then you heal a lot faster.
Good.
So it's great for that. It's also great for working out. Women like doing it primarily because they can come in, work out one-on-one, do a workout in 45 minutes where it would take them an hour and a half at the gym, and it works their body twice as much as if they were at the gym doing the regular
All of those
workout and having to
machines.
go through the system.
Yeah, yeah.
You're on one machine and you're doing one thing at a time. So
And so it increases the metabolic rate
it does.
and results in weight loss.
It does. Yes. So you get not only the weight loss, but as you're losing the weight, it's helping you to tone up and firm. So you're not losing weight and then going, okay, now what do I do with the saggy part that's
The
left?
saggy muscles.
Right, right.
They're being built at the same time.
That's being taken care of all at the same time. And I've noticed on older women that are doing it, as they're standing there, their face is actually going like this.
Hey, I'm
So it's a
coming
little
in.
added benefit.
I'm coming in tomorrow. You also mentioned cellulite.
Yes, it does work in reducing cellulite in the body. It engages 95% of your muscle fibers in your body, where, again, standard gym equipment will only do 20%. So if you're laying on there, and what we do at the end of the exercises, we'll go through and we do cardio, we do strength training, we use hand weights,
Okay.
we use our own body weight to concentrate on those particular muscle groups
Okay.
and forcing this G-force up through. So in doing that, it's actually taking the cellulite in the body and breaking it apart, because you've got the muscle fiber coming in and moving all that out.
And I hadn't heard about anything that would break cellulite up, but this does.
It does. It does.
That's good news for a
It's-
lot of people.
Yes, and bone density. It rebuilds bone density. So for the elderly and people that are suffering from that, now we're finding
Bone
it's
loss.
occurring. Yes, and it's occurring in women at a much earlier age now,
Having
Again,
to
because
do
of
with
our
our
diet.
the standard American diet, also known as the SAD diet, because
Yes.
it's so low in nutrition and high in calories.
So
So this
will
helps to build bone.
It will definitely build bone density, and it's only twice a week for 30 minutes is all you need for that. And it's much more effective and much easier on the body because you're reaping all these other benefits while you're coming in for the bone density. You're toning and possibly losing weight if that's what you need to do, and you don't have the nasty medications that they find really don't work anyway.
No, I tell all my clients, don't take those bone increasing bone density medications because the side effects are terrifying.
Well, and they're actually finding out that
And they
now
don't work.
it creates more fractures in
Yes.
women than
Yes.
if they had not taken it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We had talked about a little bit about with the PowerPoint plate, you talked about that you're doing some collaborations with physical therapists from time to time.
Yes, for those people that have had injuries and need rehabilitation, I like to work with physical therapists so that we are not making the condition worse. We're actually getting feedback from the physical therapist to know what can they do on the power plate that will actually expedite the recovery and will fit in with what PT is doing.
Okay.
So when they come to us, it's like having another day with the physical therapist, and that we are doing moves that they have requested that we do with them, and we're taking away some of the moves that they would traditionally do because maybe those aren't as effective or
As
it's
the power
not
plate.
proper
Yeah.
at the time with the type of injury that they have. So I just had an elderly client in that had fallen and hurt her shoulder and her back and could almost, couldn't hardly get up out of bed, had a real hard time walking. And within 3 weeks of PT and twice a week on the power plate, she was back to normal.
Ooh, that's
And
great.
that's someone in their 80s that has a history of bone density loss and back injury, and she was thrilled.
Well, she should be.
Yes,
That's
so
pretty good.
And the other thing with that is a lot of time with physical therapy, whatever you've done, whatever injury you have, of course, there's pain associated with that. This, because again, it brings in the circulation, which brings in the oxygenation, it diminishes the pain dramatically
Oh, that's great.
in the body. So now you're not suffering with the pain all the time as well, and you don't need the pain medication that's now going to add to something else.
That's great.
Yes.
I would like to, we have about 10 minutes left in the show. And so I'd like you to talk a little bit about your organic skincare program and the day spa services that you offer. Because I often, in the last 10 years, I haven't gone to spas that often because most of them are using chemical-laden lotions and shampoos and products that I have not. I use all plant-based cosmetics and hair care products for the last decade.
Good.
So I'm thrilled to find out that you're doing organic skincare. So talk about what you're doing.
Well, it was very frustrating for me knowing about the toxins in our environment and not being able to find a spa that offered organic treatments. So I thought, well, then I guess that's something else that I have to do too.
Good.
Since it's not readily out there and I believe in it.
And it's not in Mystic.
No. So that's what got me started on that, because I thought, there's no way I'm going to go like you and have all of these chemicals put back on my face when I'm there to relax and take care of my body.
Right.
I'm
when
getting
I've spent
stressed
10 years
thinking about
trying
it.
to get this stuff out, I
Right.
don't want to put it back in.
And people don't realize that you have to read the labels on everything from your shampoo to your mascara to your skin moisturizers to your cleansers, because everything is being taken in. People forget that skin's the largest organ. everything that goes on there is going right immediately into our bloodstream.
Yes, within minutes. So
yes. And as you're in the shower and you're using these things, the pores are opened and everything is immediate.
Well, and also if everybody does the best they can do, I'm sure, but I think in terms of one of the other priorities is to try and get your water for your household filtered.
Oh, absolutely.
Because otherwise you're taking in all the chlorine and all the fluoride and all the other stuff that's been added into municipal water that you really don't want in your system either.
Yes,
So,
and that's the first thing that I did in being in the building that I was in was I got what's called a whole house water filtration system. So everything that we're using in there, if we give you a drink of water or if we're working with water on your skin, it's all been stripped out through 3 different filters.
in your spa.
So that's pure water.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. And that was key and part of this, and that I don't want to call myself organic if I'm not truly organic.
Right.
Any things that we have washed, they're washed with the organic detergents. We're not introducing anything there. Everything that you have in the shower is all organic.
You said
The
even your
shampoo-
towels are organic cotton.
Yes. Yeah.
So you've gone to the nth degree.
Well, I think it's
to-
important to do
Yeah,
that,
and I do too.
to also help educate people that they need to go back to their own homes and do the same thing.
And sometimes I know that it seems overwhelming, but what I suggest to people is start with one thing at a time and just do the best you can do, because the days and the months and the years seem to fly by, and suddenly 5 years later you're really all organic.
Right.
Even if it takes that long. Other people can do it immediately, but I think it's important to not say, oh, I can't do that, so not do any of it.
Right.
Do what you can as soon as you can and in the order that you think is a priority for you. And then keep nibbling away until you've moved your organic spectrum over here from way back here.
Right.
And don't let yourself get hung up over, it's too overwhelming, I can't address any of it.
But it's important. It's important just not for yourself, but your whole family. I mean, for cleaning products, all the way through to what we were talking about with skincare. We have to look at everything and read every single label. And so when you come in to do skincare with us, I had looked into finding an organic skincare product. And they can say organic and not be organic.
Right. Yes,
Unfortunately,
the laws allow
yes. So I found Eminence Skincare, which had originally started in Hungary, and then they had moved from Hungary. They still have it there for Europe, but for the U.S. production, they moved to a farm in British Columbia, and they started getting the land ready to grow their own fruits and vegetables to make their product organic.
Okay.
And they worked on the land for 9 years.
Oh my goodness.
Then they planted, and then they started manufacturing from there. So they are truly an organic company. And that's the skincare line that we use and that we try to, educate people on. This is, again, the skin's the largest organ. So you put food in your mouth to feed your body. Why wouldn't you put food on your skin to feed your skin?
Right.
So if it's made from organic fruits and vegetables and you're putting it on your skin and taking it in, you're actually feeding your body from the outside in. And it's very healthy. And everyone, the one comment everyone makes when I put this on their face is, that smells so good, I could eat it. And I go, well, you could.
That's great. So you do, is this part of the yam and pumpkin peels?
That's part of the Eminence also. And that, they use that together because of the natural occurring enzymes
That help slough
that are
off
in
the
the food.
old
Yes, yes.
skin.
So there, people don't think about it, but really, when you're eating something, you're getting it. So why not, again, use it on the body to create the effect that you want on your body for your skin to look healthy and glow. Just like when we do it for, to eat it because we want to be healthy and glow.
Yes.
So it's the same principle with skincare.
Well, and I think it's really great that you are providing all of these services locally because they are hard to find. And sometimes you can say to people, well, read the labels, but unless you're familiar with what all of those alien sounding words are, you don't really know what's a chemical. Some of these chemical names, many of the producers, if it's a chemical sounding name, they'll put the origin in parentheses for you, but not all of them do that. So if you haven't been reading labels for years, like you and I have been, then you don't always know what's good and what's bad.
It's very confusing. And
deliberately, I think.
Yes, intentionally. There is a website that people can go to called ewg.org, and it's the Environmental Working Group.
That's right.
And they will list all of the truly organic products first, all the way down to those that you don't want to use.
Oh, I didn't know that. I use them for the organic foods that have the most, the horrible 15 or whatever they are.
Right, with pesticides and herbicides and yes, yeah. So no, they'll actually do that for skincare also and tell you which brands are recommended.
Well, we have 2 minutes left, so you get to have one more minute to say goodbye or whatever. But this has been really great, and I appreciate your efforts and all that you're doing for all of us through your services.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. And I'm hoping that this helps some people, and people will go out and research and find out about different modalities that are out there that can help them.
And I'm thrilled that you offer the far infrared saunas because I think that's really crucial if you have certain illnesses to get those toxins out in order to renew and restore your health. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, and please tune in next Wednesday at 7 o'clock on this Channel 12, and we'll see you then.
Wonderful.